Representing Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Women's Association, Machiko Wada, Gojikai, Paul Mori, and Seattle Betsuin, Calvin Terada. Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to introduce today's guest speaker, Reverend Kazuaki Nakata, a Kaikyoshi minister at the Fresno Betsuin Buddhist Temple. In the late 1990s, Reverend Nakata studied Jodo Shinshu Buddhism at a university in Kyoto, Japan. In 2000, he began his ministerial training and received Tokoto ordination and Kyoshi certification in 2001. He completed his Kaikyoshi overseas minister training that same year. Upon arriving in the United States, he signed up for English classes at Sacramento City College and gained a high degree of proficiency. From there, Reverend Nakata completed chaplain training at the University of Maryland and was endorsed by BCA to serve as a campus chaplain at George Mason University in Virginia, as well as other venues. In 2014, he received an MBA focused on managing religious institutions. In 2016, Reverend Nakata completed a Master of Arts and was admitted to a doctoral program in Buddhist studies. Over the years, he has honed his skills and continues his research in the original languages of Sanskrit and various Tibetan dialects. In addition to Buddhism, Reverend Nakata's research interests include Hebrew texts, the Holy Bible, Quran, phenomenology, pragmatism, and analytical philosophy. Now, if all that makes your head spin, remember that at his core, Reverend Nakata is first and foremost a minister, a chaplain, and a scholar who has served Jodo Shinshu communities in Sacramento, Los Angeles, Fresno, and across the United States. Reverend Nakata epitomizes what's meant to be a lifelong learner and is dedicated to serving others by sharing the Buddha Dharma. Please welcome Reverend Kaz Nakata.
Good morning, everyone. You know, how you say in the first expression in the morning, good morning, that makes the whole day different. That's how the Buddhism started. Like, you know, a lot of people say, oh, Buddhism, or we have so many practices, or we have to, the level by level, they have to raise up the old practice. In Jodo Shinshu, we have no such things. Because, good morning, everyone, that's our practice. Because, instead of you say, oh, good morning, everyone, takes, for the next 10 years, or good morning, everyone, for, saying the next 10 years, the after 10 years, your way of living is totally different. So Buddha always talks about in all texts, like today I explained. So always he was talking about your intention is so important. How you live your own life is so important. So today is because that we are observing for Ohigan service. So that we have annual observance for the Ohigan is twice. One is spring, the other one is fall. Then, like Rinpoche said, today is a day. The time of the day and night is the same time. So that's the equinox that we observe Ohigan service. So today is the second portion of the Ohigan, that's a fall. Then I prepared one of the paper today because my time is limited, so I'm talking, So have you seen this image? Okay, I will show you. Have you seen this one? This one was made by Christian pastor, not Buddhism, but that's okay. That's everyone's the same as human beings. Can you read? I saw this one is a tattoo in someone. So then, so this is a life. Can you see the calligraphy? Life is life, right? Then I will do upside down. Not my artwork, so that person was great. So this is death. So that person, the pastor wanted to say life and death at the same time. Like that's how Buddhism understands the life and death. Every day is living, every day is close to dying. So like a dying and living is the same thing. Just how you look at the life it is. Okay, like this way, if you are enjoying, that you are healthy, you say, I'm living, right? But you don't say to the baby, say, oh, the baby is so, durable, but he's living he's dying in 10 days or 20 years, right? So we don't say that. But when we people see in a difficult the sickness, like someone who is stage 4 cancer and in the critical situation, you don't say, oh, that person is still living, right? Or you say, oh, that person is dying. So how you look at the situation, then you say the way of the changing, the living or dying. That's actually talking about the same thing, but how you look at the situation change the way how you look at like death and life. So when I explain about each time we burn the incense during the service, then you know why we burn the incense? Make smoke. So I used to serve at the temple in Virginia. So that's most of the member is non-Asians, like a local DC people and Virginian people coming. The first time they look at the incense burner, then they say, oh, that's look like a voodoo stuff. Yeah, if you don't know the background, people say, oh, why you are doing so many smoky stuff? He's doing like a barbecue, at the temple. So I said, wow, this is a really significant. But this is not really religious stuff, not spiritual, magical miracles. Instead, the burning incense originally has two different aspects. One is, show that your sincerity, doing the God show and you bow to. Then you show the appreciation. Then your sincere effort in how you strive as a Nembutsu follower. Then in that another way, when you look at the incense burner, how you do the motion. First, you pick the incense, right? Then, why you can pick? Because you have finger. Then, because the incense is a physical entity, right? Then, once you sprinkle top on charcoals, what you see? Ash and smoke. So that's more like a physical transformation from the physical entity turned into ash and smoke. That's simply showing the impermanence. Like especially when you attend a funeral service, in front of the incense burner, what is there? Casket or urns, right? So usually the minister chanting is sideways, right? So everyone is chanting facing to the altar, but usually the minister sitting the sideway. So we see how go the motions. So living person burn the physical entity of the incense, burn the incense, then in front there's ash, or the person's remain. So that's showing the living person burn the incense to see the impermanence of life. Have you looked at that way? So each time we attend a funeral service or memorial service, this person who died is inviting us to actually see how the life's fragileness. Because even you attend a funeral service, the person, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the person was other side and burning incense for someone else. Then at the time that we lose our life and turn into the other side, then offered incense. Then, so during the service, like when I was serving in LA, like a couple months ago, every year hundreds of funeral services. So all the time I was sitting inside and doing the chanting, everyone burning incense in front of their parents or grandparents, even sometimes kids, their sons and daughters. Then I was seeing, how the life fragileness and transitions, like a dissolution. Then we will never back the same form again from the ashes. So each time that's we burn. the incense. This is maybe the last time to say, to burn the incense. When you look at the people, they say, oh, see you next week. But who can guarantee you can see next week? At the time, especially at the funeral service, I always ask them, especially kids, how did you express your word in the last time you saw your grandma? They say, oh yeah, I saw her at the care home. Then I say, see you next time. Then now, how I look at, oh, now I see my grandma in the casket. So that's really the lifelong learning experience, that each time you burn the incense, because maybe this is the last chance to do so. Then when you look at the people who lost our loved ones, how they are doing the burning incense during their living, then that's also so important to look at. That's why especially today is a day to observe the for Ohigan. That's a time to think about life and death, life and death. That's always, flip on the other side. Nothing getting far away. Once we encounter the day, we upset. Oh, I suppose we wanted to live a couple more years, but there is no such way. Like 2 weeks ago, I conducted a funeral service for the boy. He was 5 years old. Then I said, there's no words actually, right? There's no words to convince any feelings to the parents. But I said, now your son became a Buddha. Then why we say Buddha is because the Buddha has the two meanings. One is a historical Buddha, is sharing our teachings, like all the different teachings in Buddhism. The other meaning of Buddha is lifelong teacher, ideal teacher, like Amitabha Buddha. That's ideal teacher because he was not a lifelong person, right? We respect and practice Amitabha teachings. So your son, and finally he became lifelong teacher for you. Although he died in 5 years old, but from now on he will always teach you how lucky to have your own life, and how lucky to your son became your lifelong teacher. Because life is so short, the life is so fragile. That's why each time we burn the incense, please remind yourself, this is not just throwing the incense, many times, maybe for accumulating merits. There is no such things. If so, before going to Las Vegas, I will do so many things, right? But there is no such things, So that's why we burn the incense. I said, my case, I lost my cousin in 20 when he was college. So each time I burn the incense, I say, oh yeah, when I was 22, I lost my closest cousin, 20. So, oh yeah, life is fragile, So that's why he became my Buddha teacher, to tell how lucky I still live. And then I'm already 40, so so my life is still going on. But I don't know, anytime I can go, right? His side. So each time I burn the incense, I try to remind myself, oh, how lucky to have my life, and how lucky I could hear the Buddha Dharma, to know the way how can I appreciate my life through the person I love. So I think everyone has the same kind of feelings in that way. Maybe most of you lost someone, whoever you loved. That's why, especially today is the Ohigan Day, I hope everyone will think, your loved ones who lost, then how they were doing you're enjoying the shared time and love with them. The other portion, I like to have my puppet show, because I heard today have many of the kids here, so I want to present my puppet show. Then I started puppet show 14 years ago when I was in Sacramento, because Sacramento is one of the big temple in the Betsuin. So there's like 300 kids is coming. It's so noisy that my job is to beat Nintendo DS. Now they switch, right? So kids coming to the temple, okay, so how I beat them? So then I started a puppet show. First I asked, at that time the Winban was Oshita. So can I start a puppet show? And he said, oh, we never started. But I heard that Reverend Harada is doing in OCBC. So I said, well, if I just buy something to make my puppet, then that's not something new, unique. So I asked the drama school kids to design the puppet. Then one of the puppet design was kasane set of mochi. You know the kasane set of mochi? You know, the New Year Day, I don't know, here you have the New Year Day service has a mochi, but usually like a 2 or 3 piece. On the top, the biggest one is the bottom, and this middle one and top one, they put the tangerine or something like that. Like a typical Japanese culture. Then one of the girls wrote, look like a snowman, but she said, oh, that's a kasane set of mochi. So I said, oh, okay, so I can use the design. Then at the time, that was like a couple months after I got married. Then I saw my wife's wedding gown. Then there's a leftover for the boning. Because the boning is important. Otherwise, during the wedding, flip over. So that's why I put all the boning to make sure everything okay. Then I had all the extra of the boning because I didn't know how to calculate the millimeter and feet and foot. So I went to Joanne and I said, oh, I need this much boning. Then the cashier said, oh, are you sure you that much need it? Then I said, yeah, I need it. Then I took it home and I measured with my millimeter Japanese ruler. Oh, that's way too long. So anyway, so I had a leftover boning from the wedding gown. So I cut it in a small piece. Then I made a form like a snowman, the mochi stuff. So his name is Kana Mochi. Kasane set of mochi. So that's why Kana Mochi. Not the Kane Mochi, okay? Kane Mochi means rich man, so he's not rich man, so that's why his name is Kana Mochi. So I'd like to introduce his name, Kana Mochi. Please call his name, okay? 3, 2, 1. Kana Mochi. Good morning. Oh, how are you, Kana Mochi? Good morning. Yeah, I'm super, especially compared to Fresno, much cooler. I like the cool weather because my plastic will melt. Oh yeah, you are plastic, so sometimes too hot is not good for your plastic body. Okay, so I like you today for the Dharma School kids to talk about, oh no, we cannot live forever, okay? Do you have something to share about on this topic? Yeah, I have a comment on this topic. Oh, what's your comment, Kana Mochi? Well, I must tell you, Reverend Gus, I have never thought about that. In fact, I was thinking that I can live forever. I guess I am too young to think about life is not forever. Oh, no, Kana Mochi, you are not too young to think about this. Oh, Reverend Gus, why do you think that? I used to think like you, Kana Mochi. I was thinking I could live forever until 5th grade. Oh, why do you say until 5th grade? When I was 5th grader, one of my classmates died in an accident. Oh no! He was my classmate and lived down the street from my house. We always played together. In fact, we played together during the recess on that day, and he died in the afternoon. My teacher and all my classmates were so shocked and not able to believe that. Next day, we all attended his funeral service. I first time saw the casket. Oh, sorry, Reverend Gus, what is a casket? Well, it is a rectangle box, which is the human size. My friend was placed in the box during his funeral service. At that time, I did not understand what the death means, although many people were crying. But next day, when I returned to my school, and his chair was empty, and the flowers placed on his desk, I called his name number of the time, but he was not there like the day before. Then I fully realized that what death means. It means he is no longer playing with us. Before the class, my homeroom teacher stood up in front of us and she said, his death is not only his death, it could happen on anyone here in the class, boys and girls, you should always be careful and be mindful when you are on the street. Oh, Reverend Gus, it's so sad. Yeah, that was so sad when I was first grade. But his death made me to think about what life is. When the historical Buddha Shakyamuni was young, he learned what is aging, getting old, and death. Jesus' experience made him to explore his monastic practice to aware the truth of enlightenment. When I was 5th grade, I experienced my friend's death, like how the Buddha encountered the people who were attending a funeral. It was a turning point to change my mind to think about what life and death are. So, Reverend Gus, how do you think about life and death? Oh, one of the fundamental Buddhist teachings is the truth of impermanence. Things are not forever. Since I was born, I will lose my shape in the future. The future may be tomorrow or maybe 50 years later. Who knows? But once I realized the impermanence of my life, I try to live my life mindfully, appreciatively, gratefully, positively, and optimistically. Oh, that is a very good attitude toward the life. I like that. Yeah, do you know the Boy Scout motto? Do you know Boy Scout motto? Who is a Boy Scout? Be prepared. No, I don't. Oh yeah? So there's a people knows about Boy Scout motto. So as he said, 2 words, be prepared. Be prepared. As Buddhists, we should be prepared for our life and death because we do not know when our life will end. So that we should always try to live our life mindfully, appreciatively, gratefully, positively, and optimistically. Our time is up. See you next time. Oh, bye-bye, everyone. See you. Enjoy your rest of the day. Gasho, please. When the Buddha was young, he learned what is aging, getting old, and death. These experiences made him to explore his monastic practice to aware the truth of impermanence and truth of enlightenment. When I was 5th grade, I experienced my friend's death, like how the Buddha encountered the people who were attending a funeral. It was a turning point to change my mind to think about what life and death are. As Buddhists, we should be prepared for our life and death because we do not know when our life is over. We should always try to live our life mindfully, appreciatively, gratefully, positively, and optimistically. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namando. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Nakata, and thank you for bringing the Dharma message and Kanamochi to Seattle. Will you please rise now for the Gatha Namo Amida Butsu 3, found on page 98 of your white Gatha book. That is page 98. You may be seated. This concludes our live streaming of today's service. If you joined us on the internet, we hope that you have found our service meaningful, and please join us again next week. Following this